Hey there, Jim Johnson for Accent Help here. And I was just recently talking about shadow vowels, the idea of doing an explosion and on the end of a voiced consonant. And one of the things that I brought up was the idea of an explosion on an NG sound, such as ring or hang. And I want to make a distinction between that. And the way that I noted that was doing this with a little explosion after it, like this small schwa, sort of a superscript schwa, almost like a diacritic to indicate that extra hung, that extra n. And I want to indicate the difference between that and doing the ng followed by a g. Ring, ring. And here I'm doing a little explosion as well. So I'm going to put that little diacritic there as well. But there is a difference between ring and ring. This is one that many people do. And sometimes we need it, like in finger. It's not finger. This is not my finger, but it's my finger, where we actually have a G sound after it. So the NG is that where the N and the G are kind of happening simultaneously, which means it's actually a new symbol, a new sound. As opposed to an N, ng, ng. They happen in different places. So it's this sort of combo. An N and a G had a baby, and they made this symbol. And this is the exploding of that symbol. And this is that symbol followed by a G sound and then exploding. There's a ringer and a ringer. It's more commonly thought of as the right way to say it is ringer, but it also depends on the accent. So there are some accents where it's more common to do this explosion here, to do something like ring. So for example, one stereotype of a New York accent is to talk about Long Island, Long Island being Long Island, Long Island. You from Long Island? So you end up with that G getting in there as kind of almost an intrusive G wanting to come in there, where it's not done in that way by many speakers. Whereas if I took the G away from some other places like finger and made it into finger, that's a little more problematic. So recognize that sometimes people introduce a G in that place, what somebody might call an intrusive G. And depending on the accent, that may be a very appropriate thing to do. And depending on the clarity that you may need to make that distinction, but realize there's a difference between putting a G there and exploding this. Ring, ring. And it's all about the relationship of the timing of the tongue and the soft palate and how you move them around. It's kind of complicated. But it's good for you to actually practice being able to do both, because you may be called upon to do both. Notice if you have a habit of doing this all the time, and then make sure that you can do this. I do find that people who say ring have an easier time figuring out how to go ring, but people who go ring have a harder time being able to go ring. So if you do this one, especially as a very habitual thing for you, you want to work on being able to do this instead. If you're an actor, you want to have that capability, that flexibility. There you go. For more info on accents for actors, you can check out accenthelp.com.